they had made allegations that these people were part of a Coptic crusade group, and that they were responsible for the forced conversion of Muslim women into Christianity, which of course neither of those is true. We've seen such restraint from the Christians of Egypt over centuries and over the last decades in particular, and what we find is rhetoric that then builds up and creates this narrative that is then believed.
But nonetheless, the action of the current Egyptian government in taking these military strikes makes it clear that they don't subscribe to this idea of there being some kind of crusade underway.
Well, it doesn't make sense that there would be. Within our history in Egypt, there has never been any kind of aggression shown by the Christians there. In actual fact, my concern, more than what's happening recently, is that there's a dehumanization of people. That these poor men were paraded on the beach almost as war trophies, and then they were dehumanized and depersonalized and shown off in this way. And I think when we do that, it's much easier to inflict this kind of brutality. But my call as a religious leader to other people who would consider themselves as religious is, let's look at the humanity of people and try to find that kind of solution. Because if some of these people are faithful in what they're doing and they really believe that this is their way of practicing their faith, then surely they must have an idea of sanctity of life. And that sanctity of life exists across all people.
I mean, the problem is that, as far as we can understand from the faith which the Islamic State profess, they don't see it that way, that basically either you join them or you are killed or enslaved.
Absolutely. There is a very narrowing perspective of who is accepted by IS at the moment. And I think it really is time for Islamic teachers to create a counter-narrative to that and to demonstrate to people who may be taken in by this. We saw the glorification of these killings in these videos, which are very polished and very choreographed, that there is no glory in death, and that if the interpretation is proposed in this way, then surely there must be another one.
You talked about the difficulty of Egyptian Copts over the last decade or so. Is it not now the case, though, that the regimes, for example, we saw in Jordan last week and now in Egypt, are more open to a number of faiths within their countries than certainly the previous government in Egypt was?
Well, there has been a marked improvement in Egypt, and what we need to draw a distinction between the fact that these acts were actually carried out in Libya this time, not in Egypt, which is a very new factor.
The men had gone there to work, yeah.
Absolutely, they'd gone there to work from underprivileged families, and just to send money back to their families, and they now have lost valued members.
How widespread is the Coptic faith in the Middle East?
Well, the Coptic Church was established in Egypt 2,000 years ago. It is the largest bulk of Christian presence in the Middle East, between 12 and 15 million, and 90% of Coptic Christians still live in Egypt. So when we don't consider ourselves a diaspora community, we're a community in expansion, but Christians have a heritage there and have a place there and consider themselves as indigenous people there.